about 80 gallons on board this thing, and now the hope is that they'll be able to bring this thing for safe landing in at Van Nuys. We're told from the airport that there are fire trucks and all the emergency medical personnel necessary. 2 people and now coming for landing, I'm led to believe, at Van Nuys. They made a couple of passes by the tower here to make sure that the nose gear is having problems, and sure enough, it is having problems. But the set of landing gear beneath the wings, I told her fine. It's the nose gear that's the problem. And Trace Gallagher, I guess now we're going to watch and see what happens. You can tell that nose gear might even be just kind of blowing in the wind there.
Look at the engines are off. You see them, the engines are off, and they're going to go with a power off landing to try and kind of lightly down those back wheels and then gently touch that nose down, trying to keep that nose. He's worried about this thing tweaking off to the left. It's down, and this thing, you can see it dangling there, the nose gear, so he's going to try and do a kind of tail dragger landing. Going over. And that is the best case scenario for what could happen. You didn't want that landing gear to tweak that plane to the right. So as bad as it looks, that right there is a picture-perfect landing for the circumstances, Chef.
Yeah, I'll say. I mean, now Spark, it would appear that we're about to hit the 2 out. The key to all this was to cut the power, get rid of as much fuel as you could, then kind of get back on your haunches, as my grandmother might have said back in the day, so that you touch down with those the landing gear that are beneath the wings, and then just sort of use the back end as a way to brace yourself, knowing that at some point it's going to tip forward, but hoping that by then your forward speed was down to the point where it wouldn't tip over itself and it wouldn't create sparks, which could cause a fire, and all the best came to be.
That's exactly right. You know, and the bottom line here is that there was a one-time shot because they turned the engines off. You're not going to flip them back on. There was talk of a touch and go. This was commitment. They came in, they landed on the back, and they're the pilot. I mean, look, you don't practice for this kind of stuff. This is one of those things where you learn on the job, and he did really a magnificent job of landing that plane. But
big smiles on those faces too, T. Galley. And now the spacemen are out.
The spacemen come out and they see if they're from this planet, and then no, that's the emergency cruise. And really, at Van Nuys, terrific emergency setup, long runways. It's the best case scenario for these guys in a very shaky time.
All right, so down they go, and everything is just as picture-perfect as it can be. And a lot of people are emailing Trace saying they should have been able to get that nose gear down. There are backup systems, and it should have been fine. Well, apparently the backup...
Oh, it was dangling. If we could run that video back, Chef, I mean, go back. It was dangling. It wasn't up or down. That thing was torn to pieces. If you run the video back where the plane touches down on the back wheels, the front landing gear was like flopping around. There was no bringing that thing up or down. It was busted, plain and simple. They tried everything they could to lock that thing down. We watched this thing for 45 minutes. They were shaking it up and down. They were trying to bring the nose over while it was in the air, trying to shake it down. They did everything they could. It was not going to come down. So it's not a matter of, hey, they could have got it down mechanically or manually. They just couldn't. It was busted.
These guys all smiles and thumbs up, and now one of them describing the wobble as they were on the way down. I'm guessing that there were a lot of things flashing before your eyes, and if those two had kids at home heading into the Thanksgiving holiday, I'm sure that a lot of folks were on their minds, but everything's fine. Hey, don't ever say Studio B doesn't bring you good news, even with spacemen all around. Good job to the folks there on the ground at Van Nuys. Well, a group of Russian